All right, guys. So today I have Taylor Woolham on the program. Man, he needs no introduction. You've hit some crazy lifts, but you've been out of the game for a little while. So just like kind of give me a brief rundown on what's going on. What's been going on with you?
Well, it kind of started in March 2021, kind of like beginning of March 2021. I tore my pec just kind of out of nowhere one day. Like I had really just got back up into training again because I had taken a little bit of a break just for some personal reasons, and I'd started to get going again, and it was going pretty good. And then just one morning I was pushing my car, and then my pec just tore up, and so since then it's like kind of just been kind of just done for. So as far as like competing, that's why I haven't really competed again yet. That's kind of been like the biggest thing. I've had some smaller other little injuries, so I kept training regardless of this, and I just was doing like squats and deadlift, and I was going to do a meet this past November in Las Vegas, but I was 8 weeks out from the meet, and I was trying to deadlift 860, and I tore this left lat right here. Next day it was like all black and blue and stuff, but nothing too bad though. Like that one was recoverable. Like I was able to kind of rehab that one, get it back to feeling pretty good. But then, like literally a week and a half later, I was taking a squat. I was like, okay, well, I'll still just try to squat a little bit, and I was on like 600, and my quad tore at the bottom of it. I had to like dump it behind me and stuff, and that one hurt pretty bad because it was hard to walk right for like a couple weeks and stuff. Going up the stairs really sucked, and I was just like, it was like one of those ones where I was like, damn, I don't even know how I'm gonna get home because it was really hard to like get back in my car and drive and stuff. um but yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on with that. And then I'm just like a couple of other smaller little things, but I think I've just had some bad luck this last little bit.
Well, man, do you think the injuries are like happening more now that you've been in the game longer? Do you think that's part of it, or do you think these are just kind of random occurrences and such? Like, do you think it's the wear and tear?
Uh, you know, I I don't I kind of think that sometimes, but then I think back to how I felt after my last meet, like when I was training my hardest and stuff. Like I felt good, like I was not like too beat up or anything. Like I don't know, man, something just feels weird. I haven't like said much about this publicly to anybody because like I'm just really still kind of confused about the whole thing. But something just feels off. Like I'll pull like I've had so many other little things get hurt just like over nothing, and it's just been like the strangest thing. Like like deadlifting like 300 pounds, I'll like pull my hamstring or something. Like my hamstring starts to feel tight. Like just really, really weird things. Yeah, like I don't know. Like it's almost just like things feel like that kind of everywhere. It's almost like I'm just like systemically getting hurt, and I don't really know why. But I mean, I guess like maybe just it could just be like stress and stuff. But I mean, I feel like I've always been stressed. Something just kind of changed within like the last year. Um, but
Well, how old are you now?
I'm 27.
Okay, and when will you be 28?
Halloween.
Okay, so you'll be 28 this year. I'll be
Yeah.
31, a couple months before that, August. It's crazy, man. It's like I got to that point in my late 20s where everything felt difficult all of a sudden. It was like, you're cruising for years and everything, like you're making progress. The progress just it's coming easily, right? And then I got to that, like, I'd say around then, like 27 past that, and like everything just slowed way down. It got more difficult. The injuries and stuff started cropping up left and right. Like my back started not cooperating. Um, just all the time it was like that. And I almost wonder if because how long have you been lifting?
Since I was 12. So
I'm
like I've been like really serious. I've been like really focused on trying to be strong since then.
well, I wonder if a lot of that is like just the years put into the game. Because
I think so. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. Cause like I feel like, no matter who you are, for the most part, you have like a certain amount of time to like go 100% at this. And I just started off pretty early, whereas like, we see like a lot of people go into their 30s, hitting their lifetime PRs and stuff, but maybe they didn't start until like late 20s and stuff. And I also started taking gear at a pretty young age. I was 18 when I started taking gear. So I do feel like I just kind of I got really close to whatever ceiling it was that I had just a little bit sooner, but it was because I've been competing in powerlifting since I was 15 years old. So like, yeah, so I guess, and I did have a lot of success with it for a while. It did go really good for a while. So I think maybe these are just some of the consequences now, you know.
Well, this is why like you're so fascinating to me because I see a less jacked, less tan version of myself in you in the sense that like no, for real though. I'm joking, but you're no, I don't want to blind anyone with my paleness either. But no, I feel like I see similarities as far as like we pushed it hard all those years, right? We pushed it
Yeah.
hard. I started lifting when I was 14 and I was like dabbling with bench and curls before that. And it's just the wear and tear. Everybody will be like, "Oh, you guys are like 30. You shouldn't be complaining about that." Or you're in your late 20s. You shouldn't be complaining about that. And it's like, no, it's the years in the game. And like if you guys start at 20, 25, you know, you're gonna have longer in the game. It's just how it works. You have an infinite, or you have a finite number, I should say, of reps under the bar of time you can be at your peak. And we feel like we got there. I think you would say the same thing. You kind of were close to your genetic potential, you'd said, even on PEDs. And now it's like that downward spiral, not really spiral, but that downward slope where things get tougher. And all of a sudden it's just difficult. Like out of nowhere, all of a sudden everything is difficult. And that's how I feel. I'm sure that's how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's just is it tough to deal with that mentally? Like I had a hard time for a few years. Like I didn't progress for years. I was, you know, grinding away and like things were difficult. My back would hurt. I just wasn't progressing at the same rate. Like the meet PRs weren't there. Um, everything, my body just wasn't cooperating. And you know, similar to you with the injuries, does that get tough to kind of deal with mentally?
Yeah, it has been because, you know, like I was expecting it to kind of have to fall apart at some point. I was like, well, it's like someday I'm gonna have to give this up, of course, you know. It just it happened probably like 2 years sooner than I had thought it would, you know, and I felt like with the pec thing, I felt like a lot of things just got like taken from me. I felt like I had maybe like 80 pounds more I could have like put on my total before, you know, before I felt like I was probably capable of doing that. So I guess those feelings have been pretty hard to deal with because it's kind of like, what am I supposed to do now? And I almost don't even like, you know, talking about it half the time because I still get asked about it like by everyone all the time, like, you know, when are you competing again or when are that? And I just, you know, I have to tell everybody, it's like, well, I mean, like I'm never gonna like I had to realize that I won't be able to beat like my best total before. And that was kind of like the whole point of everything for me was that total number. So um and you know people will try to tell you to be a little bit more optimistic about it and I'm like, well, you know, I think I'm just being pretty realistic about it too, you know. So yeah, I guess it is kind of hard to deal with, but I do feel very good. Like one thing that makes me feel better about it is I did kind of it did go really good for me for quite a while before it kind of fell apart. So if I didn't have that like good luck streak or the streak where it went really good for a while, then I think I'd have a lot harder time dealing with it now. But yeah, it definitely has been pretty tough over this last year. Like it feel like a little like kind of directionless. Like sometimes I feel like I can get back into it still, and then it's just like this weird back and forth. And sometimes I'm like, oh no, I need to kind of go in a different direction now. And then it's like maybe one day I'll feel kind of good and feel a little bit encouraged, and then you know the next day can kind of come crashing down. So it's just been a weird thing lately.
Yeah, man, I was in that same position. My back was really the main thing that was like bothering me that kind of had been there for years. And it just got to
Yeah.
a point where it started getting bad enough where it was like, all right, squats are not going to be what they were. My hip was jacked up. More so my lower body, but just all these injuries started accruing and more frequently, as you would say, they'd linger longer. Things that I could push through in the past were just like I was not able to. And I wasn't getting as good of results either. Like I would take um even like 2019, I did a deadlift only meet and I kind of went all in on the gear, like 3 grams peaking I was going for. I took like 3 grams to try to pull 904, going all in, just deadlift only. And even that was like not quite enough. And that was kind of my final, like, all right, that's probably the sign. Like I went all in on this meet, 904, got it to my knees, and that was all she wrote. So
Yeah.
it's very humbling when you're like, oh, you're at the top for so long, and then you see all these other guys too, and that must be another thing. Like you see all these other guys come along, almost like passing up your numbers, and it's just like God. Like I remember what it was like to be at the top, and now I see everybody else. Does that something like that bothers you as well?
Yeah, kind of. because in a way you like for a while you do kind of feel special because you are accomplishing some big things and stuff. So it does make you feel good. So like, but I guess at the same time, like I don't know. Like I think I need to see all these other people, or I guess like I've always tried to be aware of how strong everybody else is getting too. That way I don't like kind of be too content with where I was at, I guess. But yeah, I guess it gets like a little hard to deal with. Like sometimes it's hard to see like John Hack. I mean, that's just that guy's just so unbelievable. It's just like, and there's always like that little thing in the back of your head. It's like, oh well, if this didn't happen to me, then maybe I could have done a little better with that. So it's like a little thing you have to just try to ignore, I guess.
Yeah, and so I know you said too, like, and I remember, when you pulled the world record at Boss of Bosses, you pulled the American record, I should say, and like that was such a huge deal. And I think Hack was there, and he had a bad meet, and he like was injured. He totaled like 1,800, and no one really thought anything of it. And
Yeah,
it's just
I was like
weird.
I out squatted him at that meet, and I was like terrible at squats, like, and that's just the only time you'll see on paper where I out squatted John Hack at some point in time, like.
That's the hard thing too, because this happens. This goes in cycles. Like the year, I think it was the year prior to that at Boss of Bosses. I was like second on deadlift behind Yuri, and then you came along the next year and just blew me out of the water, and so did Yuri. And then it's just gotten progressively higher and higher, and it's like it's the passing of the torch in a sense.
Yeah,
And that
man,
was
dude, I
something that was tough.
remember I remember watching Boss of Bosses 3 on my TV, being like so hyped about that meet, being like, man, I just would love to go there someday. It was like a dream. And then I remember going to Boss of Bosses 4, like, and getting to like lift with you guys. So I remember because that was like the first big meet I got to do. So that was just like still probably the craziest experience to me, just because of like, like you were there. I've been watching you for like a long time. And then like Yuri was there and stuff, Kevin Oak, Rob Philippus. I mean, like, it was crazy. Um,
I mean, do you feel okay? Do you feel like the old guy now? Like I kind of do. I'm like the old guy. I'm like, gosh dang it.
yeah, it's weird. Like I'm kind of starting to feel insecure about my age a little bit. Like
Yeah.
like 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 saying that I'm about to be 28 soon feels I don't know. 28 doesn't feel bad as 27 for some reason, but yeah, feeling like I'm 27 now just seems so old. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I always want to go to bed early and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's just like little things like.
Man, it gets worse. It gets crazier. But no, that's I see the up and comers, and I'm like, okay, these guys are 25 and younger, and there's often kind of a misconception. Like we'll see somebody hit a huge number at age, let's say 23. Like, oh well, imagine where they'll be in like when they're 30, and people always think it's gonna just keep going up exponentially, and it's like no,
Yeah.
it's you'll accrue the damage. Everyone's gonna accrue the damage. Everyone. I mean, I think you would somewhat echo the sentiment. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like everyone has a limited amount of time with the 15 minutes of fame. And it sucks, but that's how it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
And that was hard for me to deal with because I remember even and remember the cage days and stuff. Like you'd be like the main event at the cage, and like everybody, the crowd would be huge. Everybody came out for
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You were at the prime time session on Saturday, like the busiest day. And
yeah.
now it's like it's all gone. It's just freaking like, gosh, where did that all go?
Yeah, it's like everyone's trying to get a hold of you for everything all the time. Like, hey, come do this. Hey, we want you to do this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
It's
the
kind
all
of
the like seminars and come deadlift party here and all the events, and now it's like, and it's like that for 2-3 years, and then it just disappears, and it feels like everyone forgets about you in a sense.
yeah,
I mean, you've probably felt that to some extent.
definitely, definitely. But I guess like at the same time, it's like I don't know. It was never like the most important thing to me. Luckily, I didn't ever really care that much about social media. I would post my lifts on there. Mostly, I started doing it as like a training diary for me, and it was just like a highlight of all the cool things that happened in my training stuff. And then I kind of just, it kind of just got like it blew up a little bit at one point. And I thought it was like cool for a while, but it always felt like a chore for me to keep up with. So I don't miss it a ton, because it was never like, I mean, I've never really been one to post a whole lot of personal stuff on there anyway, so, my whole social media presence has always just been like around like fitness related stuff, I guess. So
Yeah, no, I understand that. I posted quite a bit myself. I mean, there was a time where it was bigger, and now it's faded a little bit. But you know, that's good that it wasn't like the main focal point for you. That's pretty. It's hard not to get caught up in that attention where literally like, oh, I'll post
Yeah,
something up, you get 10,000 likes and like 100,000 views, and that's crazy. Sure, that's kind of it's hard to stay humble to an extent.
yeah. I tried to be like really careful not to like it too much because I knew it would be gone someday. Like I knew it was kind of just like a short. It always just seemed like a short term thing. Like that amount of attention or that like popularity and stuff. So I was like, well, this is only going to last for as long as I can lift like this. So, you know,
Has it faded at all? Does it feel like that?
as far as what,
Just like people like I know this sounds crazy. I think my Instagram's gone down like 20,000 people from the peak or something. Like, have you seen
yeah,
that kind of stuff?
yeah, I have. Like, I think mine has gone. At one point, I had like 227,000, and then now it's like 211. However, I believe there's no way 15,000 real people like actually left. I think a lot of the 227,000. Who knows how many of those were even like? I mean, I've never done any kind of like bot farming or follower farming or any crap like that. It's all like organic. But I think Instagram puts like a lot of. I don't think Instagram can keep track of that number as accurately as it thinks it can. And I've noticed every time they do updates and stuff, you see a lot of things disappear. You see like a lot of accounts disappear off of there, or like things will change or that number will change a little bit. So, because I seriously doubt like 15,000 people over the course of like, the last 2.5 years chose to just like unfollow me for like no reason. So I wonder, just because I wonder if some account, like, I wonder if that like total number because Instagram is just, it looks like a mess. The way they do the algorithms, the way they keep up with all their stats, it is just a disaster. So there is no way I trust that, like whatever that follower number says it is, like for sure. Like I think there's like a pretty decent margin of error in there. But I mean, that's just speculation. I don't know for sure. I'm just saying this.
No, no, that makes sense. That's a fair point. No, like, okay, so you said you tore your pec pushing your car.
Yeah.
Like, we got to hear about
And
that. How did that happen?
yeah. So I was just going to work one morning and my car, like I thought I had enough gas to basically like get to the gas station right after work. I didn't. I had enough to get like halfway into my parking space. So I just needed to move it forward a little bit further into the parking space. Like that was it. I almost just left it and just said, fuck it. It went back inside, but I didn't. I went back and I was like, all right, I'll just push it in place real quick. And it was kind of like at a little bit of an uphill. So like I was just going and pushing it and then it like kind of rolled back and I went to push it again. And then it just, I mean, so fast, just the whole thing just, so yeah. It
Did
was
you
just like so unfortunate because like I don't know. I feel like I didn't deserve for that to happen. Like I'm so careful with stuff, but yeah, it was just
did you ever have to get surgery on it or anything like that?
well, so kind of the thing was I was kind of going through like some tough stuff in my life and whatnot at the time. So I had just not had health insurance for probably like the last 4 months or something like that. Like, and then so I was never able to get it taken care of or anything. I know it wasn't like a complete detachment or anything, but I've lost like just a ton of function to it because I mean I can still contract the muscle fully and do some things, but it's just like yeah, it's just kind of like sucks now. There's like I don't know if you can like see this very good at all, but like the way so I'll show you the healthy one. Like this is like the healthy side right here.
Oh shit.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then like on this side, it's just kind of like, and then I can see like a lot more of my bicep on this side
Yeah.
too. So like this whole piece is just like missing now. So
Well, your bench at your peak was 491 and in a meet, I should say. You could have 501 that day, by the way, but you probably
I
not.
know
Yeah,
I
that meet you probably had 501 based on how 491 moves, but it's all good. That was record breakers. What is your bench at now? Like, how much has it fallen from that point? From that point?
so I was able to get it up to I've done 325 since then. And man, it took me about like 6 months to get maybe 6 to 8 months to get between 315 to 325.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was able to kind of get around 315. Okay, but I remember like after that point, like I was just never really able to like uh kind of regardless of like how I approach training. I mean, it's still kind of that way. Like I even like tweaked it yesterday, so I'm gonna have to like take like some more time off of it, just trying to do incline with like 230, like something, nothing even like too bad or too heavy or anything. But yeah, so 325 is the best I've been able to do since I tore it.
How do you train bench then? Like, do you just have to kind of like, oh, we'll see how this goes and try out some different things? And like, I mean, are you pretty, how would, I'd feel so defeated at this point with bench because it'd be like
Yeah.
3 years of, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, most of the time I'm lucky if I can do a couple sets of push-ups. That's how it goes most of the time. And then like, even on the days that I am able to press, it was like, I guess over the time, like this left, now this is my good side. So the left elbow tricep tendon is just like, it hurts so bad. So it's like, that's kind of getting a little jacked up now too. It'll kind of make like a little bit of progress. Like I tried to like do other functional things with it. Like I tried to get to where I could throw something really well again. And I think that helped a lot. So I can do like kind of everything else except for bench press. Like, so I mean, even like, when I go play fetch with my dog and stuff, because that was one thing I was able to do for a while, was like throw. But then over the last couple of months, I've got back to where I can throw a baseball 80 miles an hour now. Again, that's kind of the point I've got back up to. And I've noticed with that progression that maybe it's kind of helped a little bit with the lifting, but yeah, I don't know, that like when it's just the angle of flat pressing is just doesn't really seem to feel good anymore.
So you got that, the point of your elbow too, you got the tendonitis there.
Yeah, because I think like, because the pec is torn right here, so now this side is kind of having to work a little bit harder because it's so hard to like not tilt to like one side and press like this, or yeah. So it's just a mess right now.
I had that exact same elbow pain for about a year. Like it was a year, and it's like this stabbing in the point of your elbow. It just kills your bench.
Yeah.
That was so. I've had that one too. That was also another issue that cropped up for a long time. So, I mean, at this point, like obviously, hitting a decent bench in a meet is pretty much off the table.
Pretty much, yeah.
What about squat? Like how with the quad tears and the adductor tear and stuff? Is that still okay? Is that one a possible? Would you possibly be able to PR that one again, or is that kind of messed up as well?
I think so. I think so. So the biggest thing I've had with my squat is like there was a point in time where I tore this left quadricep tendon. And kind of like since then that thing always hurts and flares up. And then earlier in the year I tore this is also the quad muscle that I tore. And when I tore that quad muscle, it kind of irritated that tendon a little bit. So it's been like a pretty long road of rehab and stuff, but it's getting somewhere. I've squatted 500 again. Since I think it only took me like 4 months to do a low bar squat with a wide stance. So since I tore my quad, I was kind of doing like a wider stance for like a little while, and I was able to get to like a low bar wide stance 500-pound squat within maybe like 4 months, I think. And then last week I did 455 high bar stance with heels and a pause. So like a lot more quad focus. So that if that kind of like gives you an idea of the progression I've been going on there. But that feels trainable. It's feeling really good. Like I actually feel pretty encouraged with squats. And I guess even if I don't PR on them, I'm happy that I can at least train them to the point to where I'm exhausted when I leave the gym, because it's been hard to do that with a lot of stuff. Like with upper body days just have to be so easy now. Like any pressing days have to be so easy that there's just no way of making myself tired from doing that when I leave the gym. So I'm so thankful that I still have like squats again now, that I can still train those really hard. And because and also just like from a hypertrophy standpoint and just overall like exercise and fitness, like squats are just the thing to do. So yeah, it kind of, I'm really glad I can still do those. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's definitely good news that, no pain or anything on that one. What about deadlift? Like, how is deadlift coming along? Do you have any back issues or anything, or?
Yeah, I didn't until a month after I tore my quad. I was at a little deadlift party thing out in Florida, and I was just doing like a 705 deadlift. I'll have to like send you the video of it because it was like an RPE 6. I mean, it was just like the easiest deadlift ever.
I saw that one.
Yeah, and as soon as I picked it up, I was like wearing the gray sleeved shirt, and it was just like as soon as I picked it up, I felt like a little pop in my back. And since then, so that was like Halloween. So that was October 30th, 2021. And since then, my back has been pretty jacked up. And it's kind of just really started to make a decent amount of progress over the last month or so. But yeah, like it hurt like bad for a while. I mean, even it was even to where like just walking around doing normal stuff. Like if I went to the grocery store, like it was just killing me and I was ready to come home, and like it sucked carrying the groceries up the stairs for like, I mean, months, you know. Um, so that has thankfully started to get a little bit better over the last couple of weeks, and I've been progressing up on the deadlifts. I started way back over with deadlifts, and I mean, I've just been doing so much like, you know, rehab for that area and stuff. Trying to do more, trying to do less. I finally feel like I'm on a little bit of a good routine now. I started deadlifts with just one plate, you know, and now I'm back to doing, I did 639 for a pretty easy set of 3 the other day, and I feel fine today. So my back, it did not mess up my back or anything. So I think deadlifts are going in a good place right now. So squats and deadlifts are actually doing, like, I feel kind of good about where they're going right now. And I'm not necessarily super concerned about making them really strong, but if I can just help use those to, like, I'd like to still get a little bit bigger, maybe like fill out a little bit more and stuff at the very least. If I can't do anything else, I'd like to at least be like a little bit more jacked. So like I'll at least want them to help me with that, you know.
Well, what's your weight at right now?
213 earlier, and that's been a big improvement because there for a while I couldn't get it over 210. So yeah, so I was had a really hard time getting, even eating like 5,000 calories a day and stuff. It was just like the scale was just not moving. So but yeah, so I'm starting to finally get a little bit going there too, as far as gaining weight and stuff. I do kind of like a lot of cardio, a lot of reps and stuff. So I think also just the stimulus from my training isn't really like, you know, I don't know. It's not like giving me size necessarily. But
Yeah, I don't know how you and John stay so light. Like you're shredded right now from the looks of it. Like just from the definition in your delts and your arms and everything. Like you stay pretty lean, I take it.
yeah,
That's always just come easy
um,
to you pretty much. It's been like a genetic thing.
yeah, I would say so. Like, so the whole time I've been lifting weights, the way I've eaten has just been like as much as I possibly can so I can gain weight. But I've always eaten good. You know, I've like never had like a bad diet. So like my whole life, you know, my mom, she never like had anything bad in the house. Always cooked food at home. We would never go get McDonald's or stuff like that. And if we did, it was like once every 6 weeks. I mean, or something like that. You know, so there's that part of my childhood, always being an active kid growing up and stuff. And then even now, like I eat pretty healthy, pretty much like maybe 95% of the time. If I eat anything that's like not healthy, like I get really sick. Like I have like a lot of GI stuff that I have to like be careful with. Or my stomach's just really sensitive. So it just makes my life so much easier to just eat clean food. And I guess the side effect of that is just that you kind of stay lean also, you know.
Yeah.
Um
You've got the delts, almost like Derek from More Plates, More Dates. Like you have the same freaking delts because everyone's always like, "Oh my gosh, Derek's delts are the famous thing," and it's like you have the exact same build. It's freaking crazy. Now, circling back a little bit, do you think you'll be able to like ever build past what your deadlift PR was? Wasn't it 953? Is that what it was?
yeah, in competition, yeah. And which I'm really I'm not super happy about that 953, by the way. That was like the only part of the meet that I wasn't like super happy about, because it was like I should have been able to do like 970 at least is what I was hoping for at that meet anyway. But I feel like I just needed to mention that. But I think I think I could beat the sumo, because since the pec tear I have deadlifted 881. So like
Oh,
exactly a year ago, or June 21st, 2021. I saw it on my memories. That's why I know the date exactly. But I deadlifted 881, and that was only like 3 months after I tore the pec. But that was sumo, and then I did pull 887 a little like a couple months after that once again. But conventional, I noticed like the most I've done is 771, and that is really hard on the tech. I think just because having to lean over like a little bit more. So something will have to change with my pec before I can really like push conventional hard again, because that's been kind of tough. But I think for sumo, I don't know, because then my knees are kind of jacked up now. So it's like I don't know if I even want to, you know. Maybe though. I say I don't know if I want to. I of course want to, you know, and I probably keep trying no matter what,
it's
regardless of like what I say about it. It's like I always kind of just keep trying. You know how it goes.
yes, sir. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely get that. You just keep pushing, even if it's like things deteriorate. But what's going on with the knees then?
Well, so I can tell the left meniscus is going away a little bit. Like it just feels like kind of unstable and it hurts. and then just the patella tendons and the quad tendons on both of them are just like I have the smallest knee joints for like the amount of weight that I lift and stuff. And I think I've just been, that certain amount of 800, 900 pound deadlifts on them, that sumo stance is getting to where like it just, that small joint just, it hurts a little more and more. But yeah, I don't know. I still feel like I'm still working a lot on getting those healthier and stuff. Like, so pretty much every time I go to the gym, I start with something for my knees. So I mean, we'll see. They could get rehab back to feeling pretty good, I hope.
Goodness, man. See the injury thing. I totally relate to you, bro. I get it. I've been there. I'm like, I know what this is like. I've had different injuries, but it's the same thing where I was like, okay, I totaled 21 and then just like everything fell off because of all the injuries. And no matter how much gear I would take or what I would do, it was all somewhat fruitless. It didn't help. Like gear didn't work as well as it did originally, and like my body didn't feel the way it did. I used to be able to roll into the gym and just like jump into the squat rack and squat,
Yeah.
deadlift for 4 hours straight. And then I got to like my mid to late 20s and it was like, nope. Like that was the other frustrating thing. I don't know if you've had this where it's like, oh, I have to warm up for an hour and a half. Like what that, like, oh my gosh, that drives me crazy.
Yeah, well, that's how it was yesterday, and I still like hurt my pec. I still like tweaked it a
Exactly.
little bit, and I was like, man, like, why did I even bother doing all this other crap? And I think actually every time I've hurt myself, actually all the last significant injuries I've had, like all the times besides my pec, I was warmed up really, really good and like hydrated and stuff. Like, I felt like I couldn't have done anything better that day. Yeah,
That's
it's
the
just like,
worst part. That's when I had to kind of reassess things. I was like, how much time do I want to invest in this when I'm warming up for an hour and a half and then I'm trying to train for like, 3 hours. And it's like, I'm spending 4 hours in the gym and it's like, how much time? And I'm not getting anywhere. It was like all this warm up and all this mobility work, trying to fix my hip, trying to fix my back. And for what? I was like, I'm not even getting anywhere. So it just got to a point where I was like, I have to reconsider the priorities and change things because if doing this hour of mobility a day stuff is not getting me anywhere. That was
yeah,
frustrating. I mean,
yeah,
you
that's
get that. You get like trying to like heal up these injuries and like, oh, if I do this, I'll fix my knee every day. I'll do this for my knee every day and I'll do this for my pec. And it hardly makes a difference.
Yeah, it is kind of frustrating. It would be one thing like if like you knew that there was all these areas that you were just messing up on, like if you're being really lazy and not doing certain things, you could be like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense that I haven't gotten anywhere with it. But whenever you feel like you're doing everything you can and then still kind of like falling a little short, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to kind of keep going because without that having that little bit of success, it's hard to know what to keep doing. It's like yeah, you get a little lost.
It's like the most I've squatted in probably like 3.5 years was 573. And
Okay.
that and that's 200 pounds less than my best. I was like, man, this is so frustrating. And it's just the body did not, it doesn't feel good. Squats don't feel good. My back hurts when I do them. My hip will end up hurting. And that was kind of a tough thing. It's like I'm like 200 pounds less than my best ever should not feel like this. Like 573 should not feel like it's 750 pounds. Like this is just crazy to me. And the same kind of thing with deadlift and with the back issues. And I was like, these weights should not feel like this. This is, humiliating. And it was real tough to kind of come to terms with all this kind of stuff. It took years for me to just be like, all right, I'm finally just going to let it go and I'm going to lift and I'm going to try to get better, but I know the numbers will be less. That was tough. So, I
So
mean,
how is that? How is that going now? I mean, is that like
I've just,
do
bro,
you
no, go ahead.
I mean, do you still enjoy it as much, or did you? I guess you had to maybe find like different reasons to enjoy it,
Yes. It
or
was, it was
different
so
reasons to
hard.
keep going. Yeah, because it's
I,
like if my goal is to not be the strongest powerlifter I can anymore, it's like, oh, well, I forgot what else. I forgot why else I like doing this in the first. So I had to get back to my roots almost. Like I had to get back and remember why I started doing this when I was like a kid. you know. But even then, I mean, even like my goals I had when a kid are kind of unrealistic because I was like 5. But but yeah, I had to kind of try to get back to like why I really started getting up early before school and going to the gym every day. Like I had to like try to get back to that mindset before I was like the power lifter and stuff like this. I had to try to remember what that was like because it was like totally for way different reasons back then than it was now. And at one point, it shifted to like everything's about being a power lifter, and I remember that made the discipline, showing up to the gym, diet super easy. Like I almost didn't have to put effort at all into eating everything I needed to, working out, training, rehab. I mean, I of course had to put effort into it, but it didn't feel like effort because I had that big goal being the power lifter. And now without the big power lifter goal, now that that's kind of shot down a little bit, it's harder to like I have to find different reasons all the time. And you find those reasons, but then sometimes like I'm not like as satisfied with those reasons. I'm like, yeah, that's I guess it's cool to be healthier and stuff. All right, I guess I'll be excited about that. It's still cool, but it's just a little less exciting. But I guess it's also realistic too.
Well, yeah, and part of the tough thing too is like, so I came off everything, testosterone, all that, shrunk down, and it's been almost 20 months now, and another 13 days or something like that.
Wow.
So, but
Congrats.
even then, I'm like,
That's pretty.
well, but the thing, even then, I'm like, oh, I can try to hit, break my lifetime natty PRs from before I got on PEDs, try to break those PRs. And it's like the other thing you run into then, you have this problem where you're like, well, back then my body had no wear and tear and I could progress all the time and nothing hurt. And now it's like everything freaking hurts and I can't progress like that because my body's so beat up. So it's like even that goal is somewhat like out of reach. So it's like, what is there? I'm like, I can't even
Yeah.
do that because I'm so beat up, so many injuries. So it's been very difficult. I've had to just like kind of look at other things, like you said, the health. And I'm like, all right, well, I know this sounds, cheesy, but it's like health PRs, blood pressure PR, and like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so now I'm
Coaching
just like,
coaching PRs though. I'm sure coaching PRs is
yes,
that.
sir.
I'm sure
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
probably
I'm
gone
still
a
big
long
into
way
that.
for you. Yeah, yeah. That's one thing that's helped me out like a ton. I mean, it was something I enjoyed still when I was competing, but then now it just means something to me a little differently because seeing somebody else gets that PR is like I kind of feel like I did that a little bit too. So it makes me feel like I did it sort of it was like my PR also. So yeah, that's been really nice over the last year, getting to have that to kind of fall back on quite a bit because I've had some really great people that I've been lucky to work with as clients and stuff. So um, I feel terrible if I didn't mention that at least. I
No,
almost
I
forgot
mean,
to
I
say
get that. You have to somewhat live vicariously through them because
yeah.
you can't do it as well. And this sounds crazy. I don't know if you want to, try this out yourself, but like lately I've been like, all right, I'm gonna get into running and try to like run a half marathon and run a marathon again because I did one when I was like 15. I'm like, I'm gonna try to do one of those and maybe an ultra, we'll see. And it's like I hate running, but the suffering and the difficulty it gives me like I can almost find meaning. Like I can find myself. I need to push myself to feel that sense of being alive. And so it gives
Yeah.
me this great difficulty of running. And then I'm like, I get done and I'm like, okay, that was hard as heck, but I did it. And that's kind of taking the place of the PRs. I still lift and I'm still trying to like progress on lifts, but the goal is like a 650 deadlift. It's not like anything great. So I try to
Yeah.
balance it all.
So have you been running a lot?
Yeah, I've been doing it for the last like 2 months, and like today I banged
Okay.
out a 7 miler on the trails, and
Dang.
yeah, I'm the half marathons in November. We're gonna train for that, and then maybe the Knox marathon. And I'm still doing meets,
Nice.
push pull. My hips destroyed, my back
Yeah.
kind of
So
hurts, but that it's kind of different things now. It's like okay, 650 deadlift, bell lifts would be cool, and with running it killed my bench, so bench like 331, and then just doing these races, and it's kind of I had to branch out. I've had to try other things because powerlifting alone just wasn't. It was
yeah.
almost getting
Yeah.
depressing.
For sure. After the pec thing, I got into golf a little bit. So I think that's kind of like I kind of want to try to go somewhere with that, so I can hit a ball really far. So that was kind of the thing. I thought, I mean, it's fun to go and hit at targets and stuff, or maybe play like a game, but I like going out to the range and trying to hit it as far as I can. And after like I tore this, well, I mean, without training my upper body all the time the same way, I can now hold the golf club a lot easier and like swing and stuff. I can like kind of do this athletic movement again. So I've been practicing that quite a bit, and then I jacked up my back, and I kind of had to like give that a little bit of a break too. But yeah, so that's something that like I actually would like. I want to go compete in a long drive competition, probably within the next year, hopefully, or the next year or two. If I just keep working on it and stuff. But yeah, just where you just go and hit golf balls as far as you can. Like that's
Well,
what it is. Like, and I feel like that's pretty similar to powerlifting if you think about it. It's like it's totally my thing. So,
what's your best?
I mean, I don't know what my best like specifically, but like just eyeballing it, like I've had a couple other people agree with me too. I've hit a couple over 400 yards. Um,
All right.
like quite a few, and I've got like witnesses that will back me up on this and say so. But it's just hard to like record this and prove to somebody, like
Yeah.
just like lifting, like it's not like lifting, you can just like record your lift and then show somebody. But yeah, so I would, and I was looking at stats and numbers online, and there's like ranking systems and stuff like that, and you can kind of just see how far everyone else is hitting it and stuff. Um,
Well, how long
but
have you
yeah,
been doing that? How many days a week do you do that? And how long have you been doing it?
well, I had to stop for like a little while because of my back, but I was maybe going like 3 times a week. For the like when I first started, I would go with my dog, and that would be how, because I couldn't throw the ball for him very good anymore. So I taught him to go get the golf balls. So I would like just hit the golf balls for him, and he'd go and bring them back. So we would just go to like a random field somewhere and just kind of do that. But that's like where I practice my swing and getting back into it and mobility and stuff. Because I would notice something feeling wrong in my swing, I'd be like, okay, well, so within the next couple of weeks, I need to like work on this range of motion, and then I'll start doing this exercise. And then so I was like trying to do things to help correct my swing in the meantime. And then I started going out and hitting like real golf balls at the little driving range we have here. And I started to get like a little bit of attention from like some just like random people that were there and stuff. And that was kind of just like, well, I was like, maybe I should like I'll go do like a little competition or something. Like, but yeah, because like I have like my clubs were my grandpa's clubs, and he died when I was 10. So they're like older than I am. The clubs are all older than me, and so like these guys are like coming up to me and like let me use their clubs and stuff because they want to see how far I can like hit it. It felt like I was in the gym again. It's like usually like when I used to like lift in
Wow.
like a commercial gym or something.
That's
So that was kind of exciting. So that's all. Yeah. So we'll see if that turns into anything. But either way, that's been like a fun hobby that I've kind of like picked up. I'm trying to figure out a way to like merge that with lifting, because there's no way I could just like stop lifting. Um, but yeah, but it is kind of hard work. Like if you go out there and you like swing really hard 100 times, like your hands get kind of a workout. It's something. It's not like lifting, but it's a little something. It's satisfying, I guess.
well, that's what I've had to find too, like just something to kind of substitute for it. I still lift just like you, same thing, but it's like the goals are dumbed down. It's not as serious, and it's tough. It's tough to pull 650 when you pulled, like 900. It's not. It's like people don't get.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're like, it's so disappointing. But how many days a
Or when
week
you,
are you lifting?
so I've been going every other day. So it's like some weeks it's 3, some weeks it's 4. It seems like if I try to do anything more than that, like something bad happens. So
Yeah.
I've been able to stick to that for a while. So like I'm like, okay, so I'll stay with that. So yeah, it's been going okay though.
No, it's awesome. That's what I've been doing 3 days a week lifting, and then 3 days a week running, one off day. So same
Okay,
kind of thing.
okay,
But what
gotcha.
other what hobbies do you have besides the golf and your dog? Right? You got
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so hang out with him a lot. I don't know, I guess between like, lifting and like work and coaching and stuff. Um, there's not a whole lot else. I like playing video games every now and then, I guess, like nothing like crazy. That's really it. Like I don't know if there's like I enjoy the lifestyle that goes behind like lifting and stuff, I guess. So I almost consider that me doing something. Like I don't know why I consider myself going to the grocery store something that's like fun to do. Like that was something
yeah.
I did today, that was
Yeah.
fun because I gotta go pick up my food for the week, and then cooking and eating that food. I feel like that's like entertainment,
Yeah.
sometimes like yeah. So
What video games?
God of War is my favorite.
Okay.
My dog's name is actually he's named after the main character, so his Kratos. Yeah, so that's why he's named that.
Do you watch
And
any
then
TV or anything too?
oh yeah, so I watch some TV. I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Okay.
So like I'm pretty into like space and stuff. So like anything that's like astronomy related, not astrology, but astronomy. So space, black holes, stars, galaxies, planets, everything like that. So that's been something I've been pretty interested in since I was like a child. So like that's something like I like learn and study about almost every single day. Like I'll watch something on YouTube about it. Or I'll watch YouTube about whatever video game it is I'm trying to play. I play Clash of Clans a lot on my phone, and so there, and then like I'll watch like other people play video games sometimes, like on on there, and then just maybe just other educational stuff. Like I'll watch like some lifting videos or just other general educational stuff, that I find on YouTube. But I don't watch like a ton of like Netflix. I have a hard time like always like finding shows that I like and stuff. It seems like.
Oh, that's pretty cool. The astronomy. I almost said it. What's the difference, astrology and astronomy?
So astrology is like all that bullshit about like how where the stars are at in certain patterns. Like so whenever people ask you like what your zodiac sign is and stuff.
Okay.
So if you were to say like I'm a Cancer or something, that means that based off of, so if you're a Cancer because you were born at a certain time of day on a certain day in a certain year, and this was the constellation that was happening, and because of the stars positions in the sky, that has some sort of effect on who you are as a person. It's
Oh.
that whole thing. So like,
Okay.
yeah, and then astronomy is just like actually just like studying the stars and galaxies and like astrophysics and stuff like that.
Do you have like a telescope and stuff?
No, and I don't know if I would care for one too much because you wouldn't really be able to look at a whole lot else, like other than the moon, and then maybe like you might be able to see like Mars and Jupiter a little bit closer than you really could in the sky, but to really see anything like decent, it would just be like the biggest telescope.
Have you ever like been interested in going up and seeing the Northern Lights or anything like that?
Uh, I think that would be cool. I feel like it's just kind of far away, so I have been to a couple of observatories. There's one in Texas down here that I've been to a couple of times, and you can. I mean, I guess they don't let you like look through the telescopes. They don't. It's not really how like it works, but you get to like see the images and stuff that they take in from the night, and then they teach you about the constellations and stuff like that like, while you're there. So I mean, I'll like do stuff like that every now and then. Honestly, like I'm almost even thought about just trying to find like a little part-time job where I could go like work at one of those observatories, even just like if I was like a janitor or something.
Yeah.
Like I'll just keep doing like my online coaching stuff, and I was like, man, you kind of just like can I like clean the telescope or something? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, just because like honestly, just I like astronomy that much that like I would probably do something like that. Like, but
No, that's freaking awesome. That's like I have that natural interest in geography. So my thing
okay,
along that line is like everywhere in the world, the cities, like I love studying different cities and different states and all the different things. That's what fascinates me along a similar vein. So no, I totally get that. That interest has been there your whole life. I totally understand.
yeah,
Are you still in Lubbock? Is that where you're living?
yep.
Were you born there? Have you grown up there and everything?
Yeah, so born and raised and just kind of stayed. It's a pretty good place to live. Like, I mean, people are pretty decent here for the most part, and it's not too expensive to live here or anything like that. So all my family's like from around here too and stuff.
You ever thought about going elsewhere? Or because your family's there, you kind of want to stay around them?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I had a reason to go somewhere else, I would. I guess I also just haven't really had a reason to be anywhere other than here. Like if there was like I don't know, if I wanted to go work somewhere else or something. I don't know. I mean, I've like considered moving a couple times, but it's just the reason as to why hasn't been like big enough yet. So
Is it pretty warm there all the time in Lubbock? Like it gets really hot. Do you get cold at all, or does it get snow? Anything like that?
yeah, we get like a little bit of everything besides like spring and fall weather. We don't really get a whole lot of that. We have like
Okay.
winter and we have like extreme summer. So today is 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And like I mean, a week or two ago, we had like a day that was like 106 already, and which is kind of like a lot for us this early on in the year. We've had so many days over 100 degrees already since May. Like I think that has to be like some kind of record for our area here. But then this past winter, we also had a day that was like 1 degree or just like a couple of
Wow.
degrees and like a little bit of it. We don't get a lot of rain, so it never snows a lot in the wintertime either. But every now and then we'll get like some blizzards and stuff. But we do get some really cold temperatures in the wintertime. And then it's also very windy here. So like
Oh,
if it's 40 degrees outside, but then it's pretty windy, it's freezing. Like, yeah, that kind of makes it suck here. Um,
it's
but
because it's this oil country, so you have the open fields, right?
yeah, so we're like completely flat out here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no elevation or anything.
Now, I know you had like a lot. You've been to a lot of places, during your peak in powerlifting and all that, like the cage and different things like that, and events and such. What was your favorite memory during that crazy run you had? Like, what was the coolest, most significant event? Whether it was like something you traveled to, a number you hit, like what was the pinnacle moment?
Um, you know, so one time I got to go to China to do a
Oh
seminar,
yeah.
and then I was there for a whole week, and like I think powerlifting is a little bit bigger of a deal in China. At least it was to the group of people that I was there with. Maybe like it was a little different over there because they don't have like the same kind of internet system that we do, or they won't see the same things on Instagram, or even if they want to use Instagram and YouTube and stuff, they have to use a VPN because it's blocked on their country's internet out there. It's banned out there and stuff. So like they don't have like the same, so they're still reading like starting strength and stuff. That was like the newest stuff that they had. So there'd be like things like that. So I know they're like really big fans of like you, Larry Wheels, like people like that. And then I was one of the ones in that category. So like they treated me like a king for like the whole week I was there. And I just remember thinking like, damn, this is just like I don't know, all these people, like I get to do all this because like I was good at like lifting weights. And I remember thinking that was like one of the coolest things that I've ever got to do. I got to come all the way out here to like help other people lift weights also. Like, and I think that was the coolest thing I got to do, was like that China trip. Um, and then they hooked it up too. They put me in like the nicest hotel to this day I've ever been in my whole life. They paid for like they would not let me pay for anything. The food was so good, like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in this hotel. They just had like this delicious buffet, and then like the guy working in the kitchen was like, special making stuff just for like me and my girlfriend at the time. And it was just the coolest thing ever. Like, I don't know, they just treated us like so good. So that was like the best I ever felt about it, probably.
Man.
Um, but then I will say also, like a month ago, I got to do a seminar with Ray Williams and Julius Maddox, and like, man, like that was I've met Julius at one other point before, but like Ray, I'd never met him before, and that was somebody I've been watching like since before he squatted 1,000 pounds. It's like since he was squatting like eight something or nine something. I've been following Ray for like a long time, and I was just like so excited to do a seminar with him. So because our his 1,080 pound squat, I still think, in my opinion, that's the most impressive lift anybody's ever done in powerlifting. Like all weight classes, like to me that was like probably the best lift anyone's ever done, like that 1,080 pound in sleeves. And then close to that would be Julius's bench. Like, just I think those are the two most ridiculous things like I've seen in powerlifting: Julius's bench and Ray's squat and sleeves. um so to get to go like hang out with those guys, like I remember just even going and eating dinner with them, and then just getting to like sit and talk with them and stuff, and then they're just like hilarious, the nicest guys ever, and it was just like the coolest thing. So yeah, just and then one time I got to do like a seminar with Ed Cohn, uh also. So you know hard to pick between. I don't know, I feel like there's just like a couple of things that, man, I still can't believe it when I think back on it now. Some of them, like I feel like just so lucky that I got to do some of those things.
Outside of then of China too, like what's your favorite place that you've traveled to, like in powerlifting or even outside of?
Russia was awesome. So Moscow, like the meet itself was pretty cool too. Like they had bleachers and stuff like set up there. Like I've never seen a powerlifting meet with bleachers before.
Yeah.
Like it was sick, and they had like smoke. They had like smoke going off inside and stuff. Just different colored lights and stuff. And then after, just the whole week I was there too, just hanging out in the city was amazing. Like, because I was just there completely unsupervised. It was not like China at all because I got myself there. I got my own hotel. I was just on my own, me and my girlfriend. Like that was it. And we were able to figure out like their little Uber system thing that they had there and get around the city. So we got to go explore all of Moscow for like several days before the meet and stuff. Anytime you went out to eat, it was like $15 for like just a shit ton of food for like both of you, or maybe like you and someone else would spend like $40 at like a gourmet restaurant or something like that, and the food was so good there. So like, normally that's kind of like I was tripping about that traveling to Russia because I was like, well, I need to be able to like eat a bunch of food all week so I can feel good for the meet. I need all that to be good. And then I remember getting there and being so relieved because that was all I did for days was just eat all day because all the food was so good there. So yeah, I think, I had a lot of fun in Moscow.
Man, you went to some cool places. Like you got to do some pretty awesome international traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you been to a lot of places in the States too, or anything?
Uh, I feel like I've just been to California a bunch of times. Like when I think about it, when I think about the travel as a whole, I've been to California like 10 times, and then like a couple other places, like two other places.
Yeah.
Like
I was sick
Florida.
of California. I'm like, I'm done
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, everything just happens there. And then for a while, I was like dating a girl that lived there too. So like I've just been to California so many times. Like
Oh,
this
okay.
is I've been all over Texas, of course. I'm trying to think like in America, like Colorado. I've been to Florida a couple times for like a few things, but that's only been like three times or something. Maybe even just twice actually. Um, I think that's it. I mean, I don't, all the other states. Like I've been to Chicago before for something.
Yeah.
Uh, Columbus,
Yeah.
and Ohio, but I think that's it. Nothing else really happens anywhere else. It seems like
Well, did you like Colorado a lot? Where were you there?
Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I've been there quite a few, and that's actually like a pretty close drive for me. So I went there like
Oh,
2 months ago for a vacation, even. So that's somewhere I've been like quite a few times. It's maybe only like a 7 hour drive from here, but that's actually where I did my first ever seminar. So like
okay.
the first time I ever did a seminar, these people just hit me up. It was before I did Boston Boston's four, and I had barely just pulled like 881 into me, and I was just like little 21-year-old, 22-year-old Taylor. And then I got to like just go do a seminar like out there, and I remember like I prepared like a PowerPoint on my computer and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, it was a. But yeah, so I've been out to that gym a couple times, or just that area a few times. So Colorado is pretty nice, and then they have like a lot of I don't know, like it's like just they have like that Olympic training center there and stuff.
Yep.
So Colorado is like a very like people train in Colorado. It seems like fitness seems popular there of all kinds.
Gosh. Yeah, I love Colorado. We were out there a couple weeks ago for a meet in Laramie, Wyoming, and then Colorado. And my
Okay.
sister's out there. It's beautiful. Like more, we flew into Denver. It was about a 2 hour, 2.5 hour flight. Not too bad. Loved it. So can't wait to go back. My sister's out there. I'm going to try to get out there every year to see her, but it's just the mountains and everything. It's freaking beautiful. Did okay, so as far as I got questions about like PEDs, what was your favorite PED that you would take in your prime?
Um, I feel like I probably got the most out of like Tren.
Yeah.
I would say it was always like hard not to, but that seems like for a while that was where I was like getting helped out the most. And then maybe closer to the end, maybe Deca was doing a little bit better for me. But then again, it was hard to tell, like, but it seems like anytime Tren and Anadrol were involved, like that was like things were
Yeah.
going in the right direction, like
Do you notice this
yeah.
thing where everyone always like denies being on trend and you're just like, come on, guys, we know what you're doing. Like have you noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I swear, anybody who's ever done a powerlifting meet, like you're doing trend, like you're running trend before the meet. Like I feel like there's
Yeah.
just no way you don't. Like, like I don't know.
I
I
always
don't
thought
I
that
don't
was
know what
funny
became
though.
like. Why is it so shameful? Is it
I
just
don't know.
that was just
It's like
way
a
worse
meme,
than
like obviously people know about like trend rage and all that because I don't know, bro. My buddy can take trend and he's completely normal. I took trend, I was freaking a basket case, like emotionally and just temper wise and all that sort of stuff. So I think all the negative stigma with Trent as far as like all the stories and stuff, people are always like real hush hush about it. Like people will admit no problem that they're on cycle. They'll be like, yeah, I take tests and I'm on cycle. But then you say Trent, like, no, I've never done that. And I don't know, bro. It's like
I
people
wonder
are ashamed.
it's like if maybe they don't want other people to know, because if they had some sort of outlash of anger, the other person's going to be like, it's because you're taking Tren. That's why you're being a dick right now. Or I don't
Actually,
know. Like,
I think it is because it makes it look like their genetics aren't as good as they may seem. Because if you're like, oh, I just did that on Test and Anavar, like you see, almost it's like a superiority thing of like, oh, I didn't take Tren.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
That's what it is. That's got to be
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I took Tren all throughout the whole, peak run. Like that was what I did up until the last 3 years. And my wife said no more Tren, but because how much it would affect me. But I remember some of those early meets, like 21 and stuff. And I pretty much dove right into it. Like I started the cycle with Test and D-ball, and then like it wasn't a couple months later, I was like, yeah, let's go to Tren. And I do like right before the meet, 700 a week. I pin the whole bottle basically because you have 1,000 milligrams in a bottle, and you're just like using it all up. Why not? Before you go to California, use it all up. So that was definitely the my bread and butter. Like that stuff was awesome. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It was weird because it would always like mess up my appetite so bad, and I would feel like I was never eating enough. But then I was still like making progress. I'm like, this is breaking the laws of physics right now. Like, I don't know. It just, yeah, I don't know. But then lately I got to where like, or Deca towards the end, like Deca was the kind of my bread and butter because it made training a lot more sustainable. It seemed like I could never get away with taking Tren for more than like a month or two. And then once it would stop being good and I would just start feeling terrible all the time. And then like it felt like it'd always be really easy to get hurt or something with Tren.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, yeah.
Well, Tren too. Tren was just, I would feel natural when I would stop it. I was like, oh, I feel natty. Like relatively speaking, of course, I know it's not even comparable, but like when I would just be on test, it was just like, this is so underwhelming. Like this is boring. My deadlift is like weak. Well, way weaker. And then you add Tren in, and it's like everything just starts ratcheting up. All of a sudden, it's freaking the gains are so quick. That feeling was just unmistakable.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the most you ever did like cycle wise? Because my peak cycle was that 2019. It was when I had stopped taking Tren, but I just compensated with everything else. And it was like the last couple weeks before the meet, trying for the 904 deadlift. I was at 1,500 test. 1,200 MPP, 40 halo a day, which 40 halo a day was hell because I would get massive headaches and I would like feel nauseous all day long. Like I was going to throw up. And then Anavar, I had to cut from 50 to 25 with the halo because it was the liver toxicity at that point was too much, but it was like 3 grams. That was the most I did by far because I was just trying to go for it. I was like, I got to try to get 904 before I call it. And I still couldn't do it, but it was a close call.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. So it's hard to always know like exactly how much I took because I remember at one point I switched sources and all of a sudden I was taking half as much because I was like, well, it's way better now or something. You know what I mean? So I remember that happened at one point, but and that was like my last couple of meets. I had got this like new source.
Was it Juice Pal?
Do what? No.
You know about Juice Pal? Do you ever use it? Oh, okay. He was his stuff was good. His stuff was good.
Okay, no, I guess I didn't know about him.
He got busted, but
no, okay. Yeah, so I'll try to be like as honest as I can about how much I took. So I'll try not to like downplay it all, but
no, you're good.
Yeah, so going into my last competition, that had to have been the most that like I ever took. But like that whole training cycle going into it, routinely I was like, I remember I was doing awesome with like 500 tests a week and 500 Deca a week.
Yep.
And 50 milligrams of D-ball every day. that I worked out. So, but I'll try to do it at least like 5 days out of the week, 50 milligrams of D-ball every day. And then if I had a really heavy lift, I would take 100. So like if I had like a really heavy deadlift, which that would only be like once every couple weeks anyway, or if I had a really heavy bench or a hard workout that was important, like a heavy squat and a heavy deadlift, then I would take 100 instead of 50, which that's still not like that much D-ball or anything. But I remember just from that, like I was like, that was helping me out like so much. So I did that for like a while, and then closer to the meet, so that the same doses of that, but I switched the DECA for NPP, and I was doing 200 NPP a week. So still the 500 test, but I think I might have gone to 750 test at this point. But I can't remember if I was able to consistently keep up with that, because it was like a pain in the ass trying to like fit in that extra pin at some point during the week, So maybe 750 test with the 200 to 300 NPP a week, with the 50 to 100 milligrams of D-ball on training days, and then I would do like the test no ester on the day of the meet. I liked that stuff. That test no ester plus D-ball was like the best pre-workout of my life, I guess. But yeah, so that was like the most I ever did. But I do remember in the past with the other source that I had, or other sources that I've had, it was like on paper more than that, but it was just like, there's no way I did like that much, I think some of it was just bullshit,
Yeah, so you get the crappy gear that some guy makes in his basement, it's like cooked wrong, and like they overheat it, and doesn't work as well. Yeah, I've had that myself. But like, you should have tried Tren no ester. That stuff was way better than test no ester.
Oh,
Tren
dang.
base, way better.
I'm sure I would have if I could have found it, or if I had it offered to me, but it's just
that stuff was awesome. Yeah, Juice Pal had that stuff. It was like I would the test base, after I tried the Tren base, I was like, test base, it sucks. I'm not going to use that, because the Tren base was so much better. But that was those were some interesting days, and all was well. Did you ever have any like bad side effects from steroids or anything?
Like you always hear like cliche side effects that you get from steroids, like you hear, and I feel like the only one that those would be sort of true about would be like, for if I was ever taking like Tren, like if I ever felt like, if I was like walked away from a situation and I was like, I think I was like unreasonably angry, like I think I'm unreasonably upset about what just happened, that'd be like, usually if I was taking Tren, like that would happen, or something like that, or like. And it wouldn't even be like that, but it's just like, I'm a little bit less shy or something now. So it's like, I'm going to tell you that I think you're stupid instead of just thinking that you're stupid. Maybe I'll say something to you about it, or, maybe gyno, but honestly, I had gyno when I was like a teenager. So I can't even say that it got worse. Yeah. Like it didn't even get worse. It was kind of just always there. And then whenever I would take steroids, like they would swell up a little bit, okay. But then whenever I would come off, like it would just go back down. They would just kind of, the swelling would go back down. They wouldn't be poofy anymore. And then with Tren and stuff, sleep, like maybe sleep could be kind of bad, or night sweats and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
then just like the appetite thing, like just messing up my appetite. But I only noticed any of these things like on Tren. The rest of the things, maybe Anadrol would make me kind of nauseous throughout the day eating and stuff. So that seems to be a side effect I'm sensitive to. So if anything can cause that, like I'm probably going to get hit with it a little bit. But yeah, like, so those are probably just the worst side effects I ever had. Like nothing too terrible.
That's good. Yeah, I just Tren was very, very strong as far as the reactions and such, but it hit me harder than other people. Apparently, it was pretty rough. Now, do you take any like natural supplements right now?
I mean, like protein powder and stuff.
Well, yeah, anything like vitamin D or anything like that? You take any of that stuff?
No. So like, I'm trying to think. Like, I have like some, like I'll take pre-workout.
Yeah.
Like there's, but even then, that's like, half the time it's like a drink. I'll just go get like an energy drink from the store or something. And then like I have a supplement company that I'm sponsored by. So like, I drink like the protein powder, and then also like powdered carbs. For pre-workout. And so I like that a lot. Like if I don't feel like eating a banana or something, I'll just throw a scoop of the powdered carbs with my pre-workout and have that, or something like that. Other than that, I try to just eat really good though. So I think I do a good job with that.
What out of the energy drinks, what's your favorite?
Oh man. Well, everyone's just killing it right now, so it's kind of hard.
I know, right?
They're all so freaking good. So, but maybe favorite of all time, the Mountain Dew Rise. because
Oh, shoot. All right.
they have like 6 different flavors, and all 6 of them are like really good.
Really?
So yeah, they're pretty good. I was
All right.
impressed. I liked every single one of them, and I was like, that's I can't say that same thing about any other brand of anything. Like,
Have you tried the Alani new ones?
yeah, I had one of those this morning. Those are so
There
good.
you go.
I had the Rocket Pop one this morning.
Dude, that cherry slush, right?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. Those guys, they kill it on their flavors though. They
The
did.
cherry
They're
slush though is
yeah.
like, damn, that's the best one. All right. No, that's interesting. Have you what do you think about Turkesterone? You got any opinion on that?
I don't know what to think about it. I have some.
Oh, you do? Shit.
I man. Well, here I'll go get it. I'll go get
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've like I've taken it like a couple of times.
Yeah.
But like
Is it
I don't know like what it's supposed to do, but I
that's
do have a
awesome,
bottle
man.
of it.
Do you think
Yeah.
it's legit or not?
Well, on paper it sounds like it would be pretty good, but honestly, like I have no idea. Do you know a whole lot about it at all?
No, because it's all the rage right now. Everybody's like saying, "Oh, all the Turkesterone's like fake and underdosed, and it's not what they
Yeah.
say it is."
Yeah, so this is it right here. This is like the company that I'm sponsored by. And I know like
Oh
these
shit!
guys, they make good stuff. As far as like their SARMs and whatnot, like I know they're big on that.
Wow,
But yeah, yeah, Turkesterone. Yeah.
unreal. You gotta try it, huh?
Should I? Like I guess
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
See if you notice anything, because it's
Yeah.
Turkesterone is like right now, it's like not even banned. Like you could be natural and take it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind
I-
of funny.
okay. I mean, is it supposed to be like comparable? I mean, just the way I view this stuff is just like it's never going to be as good as the
No,
steroids.
no.
So yeah, so I usually just never even can pay
Yeah,
attention to it. You know, it's hard to even entertain it at all. Like this was free, so um,
it's just a very controversial subject right now because everyone's like, "Well, it's underdosed," and the raw material from China isn't really Turkesterone, and
oh
there's this whole like thing right now, but I don't think it does a whole lot. Um, I don't know. It's tough to say, but that's interesting. No, do you ever get like labs done or anything? Have you got your blood work checked ever or any?
it's been about a year since I've had that done, and there was nothing alarming the first time, or that last time that I did it. So but I mean, I'll like keep an eye on my like blood pressure and stuff. I'll like check that every now and then. So that stays at a normal level.
I
I
just
have a lot of problems with my blood sugar sometimes. That doesn't get high, but like I just have like reactive hypoglycemia. So like a lot of the times after I eat, like an hour later, my blood sugar just tanks. It's like I just overproduce insulin. But it's been something I've kind of been noticing since I've had since I was like a little kid. Like I've like these little hypoglycemic episodes that I'll just have, and then all of a sudden I'm just like starving for some, candy or something sweet to eat or something.
do you know what your fasted glucose level is?
Uh, it changes a lot. So do you mean
Yeah,
like if I were to like
yeah.
wake up in the morning? Sometimes it's bad. So like I have to not go certain amounts of time without eating because so the last time like I went like 12 hours one time without eating a couple weeks ago because I went and bought some more strips so I could test my blood sugar at home, and it was like I'll
Oh
wake up with it at like 57 is
no
what
shit! Wow.
so it'll definitely be below 70. Like in the mornings and stuff sometimes.
You gotten
But
your
it's so but
A1C
it
checked or fasted insulin?
uh-uh. Oh, not since that last time I went to the doctor like a while back. But
Be curious.
yeah, it seems pretty easy to manage though. It's not like, all I have to do is just eat a little bit to change it. But sometimes there's some days after like a hard workout, the whole next day I will struggle to get my blood sugar to like stay normal, you know what I mean? Or to even be at like 80 to 90.
Wow.
Yeah, and so sometimes it seems to correlate with like if I had a really hard workout and if I didn't sleep that good last night, then it seems like now my blood sugar has a hard time like keeping up. Or so I always try to like find little patterns, like notice trends and correlations between things. That way I kind of know what to do ahead of time and manage it kind of myself, because going to the doctor half the time has just been like a waste of time. Like they don't help me with anything.
No,
Half,
they
you
often
know,
don't.
and then to look at something like, if they were to discover something like you have taken steroids at some point in your life ever, like if that comes up, or everything is because of that all of a
Yeah.
sudden. I've had that experience too,
Yep.
unfortunately. So, yeah, and it's not really like that serious of a thing. Like, I just kind of have to make sure that I eat all the time, pretty much. So,
Wow. Yeah, doctors can be kind of some of them awful, but I've had that,
yeah.
myself. Now, what is your favorite like restaurant, you would say? Favorite place
Like
to eat at?
fast food, or like go sit down and eat.
Both.
Okay. Fast food, man, I like Arby's a lot. So
Okay.
if I had to pick like a fast food place, yeah, probably Arby's, and then just go sit down and eat. Maybe like a steakhouse, some kind, like Longhorn Steakhouse, or uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't ever go out to eat. So
You don't? All right. All right.
maybe, or a sushi place. If I like a sushi buffet, that would be my favorite place to go out to eat for sure. Or
Now,
just, yeah, something like that. Japanese hibachi, like, yeah.
what do you think about Cracker Barrel?
I forgot about Cracker Barrel. I love that place. That's like one of my
Yeah,
favorites,
dude, there
probably.
we go.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like any time of day, it's good. Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like
Yeah.
they're fried. They're even like their fried chicken's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Wow, this is every time I ask somebody, they're like, "What's Cracker Barrel?" I'm like, "What are you
It's
freaking talking about?"
yeah. Breakfast is like $7 too for like all
It's
this food. Yeah,
Bro,
it's
that's what I'm
cheap.
talking about. It's
Yeah,
cost effect. Like it's not even that expensive, and you can get
it's not.
it's reasonably priced. You get the fried chicken with the gravy, mashed potatoes, hash brown casserole, biscuits. You're good to go,
Yeah,
dude. All
yeah.
right, we finally found
There's
somebody.
always one around too.
Yeah, they're
You
all
can
over the
always find one.
interstates.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we finally found someone who likes Cracker Barrel. This is good news. Or who knows what it is. No one even knows what it is. Like Cracker Barrel. What unreal. What's your favorite food then? Like period. Like even at the grocery store, you're gonna get something.
Greek yogurt. Like if I had
Really?
to pick like a favorite food that's just like such a staple to my life, like Greek yogurt.
Wow.
Like I'll just appreciate the heck out of like some really good quality yogurt. But it
What
has to be
brand?
like Faye. So it's spelled Fage is how you spell it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, I've had that.
yeah. So Chobani's okay. But it kind of depends on like how much you want to spend. It's almost like how it works with like alcohol. Like the more expensive stuff is worth paying for. It is. So like Chobani's maybe like $6 or $5 or $6 for a 1 kilo tub. So I think it's about like a kilogram for a tub. So 1,000 grams, and then for the same size Faye one, it's like $7 to $8. So it's like $2 more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Chobani and then Faye are pretty good brands of yogurt, and it has to be the plain whole milk Greek yogurt. Like otherwise, I just won't even. I don't even
Wow,
care
you don't
for
like
it.
the
So.
flavored.
Well, I make smoothies with it, so that's kind of what I almost use that Greek yogurt in place of like protein powder, like because
Yeah.
it's such a good protein source. I mean, it's literally the same as like a whey protein anyway, and then it's just really good for my like my stomach and my digestion, and I feel like it kind of helps get like that started off right for the day. So that's usually like one of the first things I eat in the day is like some kind of yogurt blended up. I'll blend it up with like bananas and strawberries usually.
It sounds
Maybe
delicious.
yeah, or maybe some like heavy whipping cream or whatever to add calories to it. So
All right, now a couple random. What kind of car do you drive? What's your car?
I have a Jeep. It's like a 2016 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk one. So
Oh,
and
okay.
it has like a winch on the front of it and like some bigger tires that it came with when I bought it and stuff. But yeah, it's like a little off road thing.
I just drive like a Chevy Cruze.
All right, so
Nothing fancy, man.
I had a Honda Civic before this, and I kind of missed it a little bit. Kind of.
Oh yeah, the gas mileage is a little better. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that definitely helps. Well, where do you see yourself in like 10 years? What's the vision here? What do you because I'm almost at like 30, 31, and it's almost like without being able to do what I can in powerlifting. It's almost like a early midlife crisis where I'm like, what do I do now? And I'm trying to find that, and experimenting with different things. So life is stable as far as my wife and daughter and everything, but like it feels like a semi early midlife crisis where I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I guess I'd like to figure out something as far as like, so I'm at so I felt like I really used my youth for stuff like physical things that I couldn't do later on in my life. I felt like I can always go to school. I can always learn more stuff. I can always work. I'm going to be able to do that for a really long time. However, this whole powerlifting thing, I think I got the next 5 years to get this done the way that I wanted to. And I think I was right, So now I think I'm probably going to go back to school. So as far as looking 10 years ahead in the future, so now I can like coach people and stuff and be able to like support myself going to school.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that, maybe in the next 10 years, I'll have like some kind of a job that's like working towards my retirement, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Building that like a little bit, maybe just have like a little bit more than what I have now, like
Yeah.
maybe have like a house and stuff. If I have a wife, then great. If not, then I hope I'm just making my life as good as I can, but I guess physically, I don't even know what to expect anymore. Because if you were asked me like 2 years ago where I see myself in 10 years, I'd be like, well, I'm going to be lifting this much weight
Yeah,
still.
I
I'll be
know.
doing this. And then now I'll be like, I'm going to be happy if I still weigh more than 200 pounds in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Um,
that. That's where do you have any regrets about anything from the past? Would you have done anything differently?
Man, not yet. I guess there's a couple of things I wish I had like rehabbed certain injuries a little bit better, or I wish I had known what to do better for a couple of those things, because I felt like that would have helped me get, I don't know, maybe probably not even 10 pounds further ahead of where I ended up anyway. Who knows? But there's always like little things like that. But for the most part, I felt like I was always trying really hard to like learn as much as I could to figure out things that were going to help me get as far as I could. So I do feel like I really utilized my time as well as I thought that I could, going in, or like while the whole thing was going down. So um, no, not a lot of regrets with that. No, it's hard to regret that, because so far that's has brought me the most happiness out of anything else in my life ever. So I don't think I could ever regret. I don't know. So even if there was something kind of messed up in there, I don't know.
Well, do you ever feel like, because like for me, I'm like, oh, I never officially got that 900 deadlift in the competition. Do you ever feel that way about like 1,000 or like even on squat and bench? Like bench, you were like right at 500, bro. You could have hit it that day at Reebok
I
Record
know.
Breakers.
Yeah.
Does that ever
I didn't know it was
ease you, or
I didn't know it was going to be a touch and go command though. So,
well, yeah, but no, let's not be
yeah,
too
no.
hard on yourself. You
Yeah,
smoked
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but like, do you ever? If does that ever like bother you that you're like, I was right at these numbers and I never quite got there?
It does a lot. Because I felt like I was close and it was like also possible. So I really felt like I could have a meet, or I did 700, 500, 1,000. Like that was going to be my next meet, because I was already really close to it at the last meet. And I was like, my 677 squat that I did at that meet flew. Like it was really good. It was really good. My 491 bench was great. I had pulled a 959 in training like a month before the meet that could have been 1,000. Um, and so I felt like I was capable of like those lifts. So yeah, that's a pretty tough one, because that would have been like a 2,200 total and stuff, and
Yeah.
and I felt like that was what I really was like probably capable of ultimately. But at the end of the day, I remember never even thinking I'd get to 2,000 pounds. I remember that just being
Yeah.
unfathomable, and and I got there, and then 2,100 was just, I still can't believe I did that. The 21, 22, like, uh, yeah. But I do wish it could have gone like a little bit more though. But if I don't feel too bad about the 1,000 pound deadlift for some reason. I don't know what it is that just lost meaning to me for some reason, because unless I did it like, I don't know. I don't know. Just with the thing with deadlifting and competitions, it just like, everything can be just so different from the competition day. Like for example, at Record Breakers, do you know what we deadlifted on when I did the 953? We used a brand new Rogue Ohio deadlift bar.
Oh yeah, that doesn't have much
That
bend.
and by brand new, I mean that was the first day that it was ever used. It had been used like a total of maybe 10 lifts before I touched it
Yeah.
with and it was different. Even though I used an Ohio deadlift bar in training. However, when I pulled the 959, the bar was like 2 or 3 months old, and I had done several other lifts on it. So the width it is totally different. The way it feels off of the ground. And then you could go do a meet that's going to use an old ass beat up Texas deadlift bar, and now all of a sudden you're deadlifting 25 pounds more guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then now that gets to be the world record. Or so
Yeah, okay, this is facts, people. The Ohio deadlift bar has way less bend than the Texas. And
yeah.
what do you think about these guys now? Like, and he's 100% right. Like, you use an old Texas deadlift bar, it is so much freaking bend. What do you think about these guys now breaking the records on the Kabuki?
So I don't know anything about the Kabuki bar. Have you used one?
No, I'm totally opposed. It's like a way bendier version of the Texas deadlift bar.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, we're just.
Well, that's why I don't give a fuck about deadlifting in competitions anymore half the time, because of crap like that, because of how much it can be manipulated based off of the bar. And then you go over to Russia and, the plates are taking up the entire sleeve of the bar. And then now the bar is bending so much. So that's which, so instead of like me complaining about it, I went over there and I used those plates.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you that was the easiest 950 deadlift I'll ever do in my life. I almost pulled 970 that day, and I was exhausted. Like, I was not having the greatest day either. And 970 came off the ground so fast the first time that, like, it surprised me, But it's just the fact that it can be manipulated that much in one competition and still count as the same thing. Like, it's bullshit. Like, it's literally the different. It would literally be like squatting halfway down, or something like that, or cutting depth. Like, it would be the equivalent to reducing range of motion than squat or bench.
Well, now in squat they got those new Inzer sleeves that are like way better. What do you mean?
Yeah, did they like ban them though?
No, dude, they're using them all over.
Dang.
This is what I mean. Like, powerlifting, the improvements in all the equipment are just getting like out of hand. Like,
yeah. And then, I mean, I'm still kind of opposed to the whole like raw with wraps category idea thing. Like, it just makes an unnecessary category that doesn't need to be in there. Like, I don't know. It's just like one more thing.
And it's getting
and it confuses. Yeah, and then it confuses like the spectators and stuff. Because I don't know, like the differences in totals and have to explain to people, oh, this one was done this way. Oh, hey, well, this kind of bar was used, and then this is why it's different. And honestly, like, I think everybody should use go back to like the stiff bar or something. Like I think, maybe each bar can have its world record, but even then, like that doesn't mean much either, because I've used some Ohio deadlift bars that feel totally different from each other. Like I've used some that like feel like a Texas deadlift bar, and then there's one that feels like a pretty solid, Ohio deadlift bar that doesn't bend as much or something. Yeah, I don't know. So it can just be manipulated so much that it's just like, yeah,
it's frustrating. Yeah, we have an Ohio deadlift bar here, and it's way less bendy. So I totally understand that. What like drove you all these years? Because I mean, you got to have like some demons or something to be able to like push to where you pushed and lift the numbers you did. Like, what was the driving mentality?
For some reason, it's just like I always cared so much about being strong. And like, man, it started like whenever I was just like 3 years old when I went to see like Hercules. I remember my mom took me to see like Hercules, and then, he gets big and strong. He goes and trains with Phil, and like, he goes to that whole thing. And for some reason since then, that was just like something that I always found pride in, was like, if I was strong about something like that. Like, I remember one time in kindergarten, like I did something that everybody thought was, pretty strong because maybe nobody else could do it. Like, I just picked something up that nobody else could, something like that. But then I remember everybody was like impressed, and like, it made me feel so good about myself. Like there's no way the kid standing next to me would have felt that good about it. like he would have maybe felt good about it, but then like I like for some reason for me, like it made me feel like super good. So I always just cared so much about being strong, and a lot of my like self-esteem, it sounds like almost ridiculous to say, but growing up, even like my self-esteem was like a little bit around like the fact that I was like, or trying to be strong and stuff, like, or having that as like a goal. So I guess whenever, powerlifting comes along, it really just, it works well with that kind of mindset, I guess, because that is the goal, to just keep beating yourself, do a little bit better each time, and stuff like that. And then also it helped me to like be less skinny too, because I was always really insecure about being like a skinny kid and stuff. um so just like more self-esteem, looking a little bit better. And then I always really liked the performance side of things too, just trying to feel as good as I can and lift as much as I can, be as strong as I can. And it was just like I never really had to feel like I had to look for the motivation that much for it. I always get asked like what I did for motivation. And I was just like, I don't know, I kind of just felt like it, like,
Yeah, I get that. And like that was just natural, that fire. And then it got to a
yeah.
point where I think when the injuries accrued and everything, it's like the fire was like kind of gone. Like now it's hard for me to get like psyched up. Like it's really hard. I can hardly even do it. And back in the day, it was just like all the time. But
Yeah.
do you find yourself, do you have a hard time getting like psyched up anymore or anything for a big lift?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess if I had a big lift,
Well,
then I think I would just be scared more than anything right now if I had one. Because I'd be like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen if I do this one, or like I'd have that thought a lot. But I don't know. I don't know. No, I think I'd still get like pretty worked up. I think I'd have a harder time like handling it right now because I'm not used to like having. I mean, because it was there for a while. Like it had like every week, almost every workout, I had a lift that I needed to take seriously. Like, okay, even if it was like, RPE 8 lift or something like that, you still needed to get it together, get under that lift and think about it. So I forgot where I was going with that.
well, yeah, it's just tough to, you don't have that right now. You're not lifting those numbers where you're like, oh, I gotta get really psyched up, and it's heavyweight and it feels almost underwhelming.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess I still get like, I don't know, when I was doing it like all the time, I got used to doing it all the time. So whenever I do it now, maybe I'd get like a little freaked out or something, or like I'd feel that anxiety like a little bit more.
With the injuries, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
No,
yeah, I guess it does take away a lot of just overall excitement, because typically like I'll think about that lift all week. Like if I know it's coming, actually I've like known that lift was coming up for like a month or something. Like, if you had like a big lift, or because you've been planning on that day for like a long time. So that makes every workout going into that really exciting. Like, I mean, because you're working towards this big number like way later on. So every workout building up to it is exciting. And then I guess now I don't really have that big number that I'm chasing right now. It's just kind of just like, stay on track right now. Find different goals to focus on, I guess.
yeah, no, I get that. I do understand that. Now let me get here. I'm just gonna real quick. Don't want to take too much of your time up. Let me look at some of these Q&A. I feel like I covered everything. Just these are some of the Q&A from YouTube. So the most popular question, how do you program your deadlift rows? He says he's currently doing it as a deadlift accessory after his back offsets around 50% of his deadlift max. How do you program those, the heavy rows?
I would do it backwards, what he's doing actually, which is going to sound weird, but like, I think you could get a lot out of, and maybe not even like a main deadlift day, but like if you did those rows first and then did your working deadlift sets afterwards, I think you'd be better off. Because so let's say you can deadlift 500 pounds, that's your absolute max, and then that day you're going to do a top single with 450, like something you're guaranteed going to be able to get or whatever. And then maybe you can like warm up with your rows in a set, like sets of 5 with like something. Let's say 250 pounds is going to be like the most you can do for 5, because that would be difficult for you. Well, that 250 pounds is still not going to take away from the 450 pounds you're about to develop here in a minute. Like
Okay.
maybe a little bit, but really it's gonna just warm me up a little bit better, I think. And I remember I used to do that a lot. I used to like have so many days where I would work up to some heavy rows, and it would be about like five, it'd be in the 4 to 500 range typically. Like we work up in like those heavy rows and stuff, and then from there maybe I'll throw on another plate and then start deadlifting, and it always was just like a great way to deadlift. I remember. Um, I was just properly warmed up. And I noticed if I was going to deadlift 800 pounds that day, doing rows with 500 pounds right before it did not make me more tired, because 500 compared, it's still 500 compared to 800. So, you know,
Yeah,
if you
that's a
kind of
good
get, if kind of
point.
get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. Now, what do you attribute to your pound for pound strength in all three lifts as far as your size, leverages, leanness, all that kind of stuff?
Um, I think I've always been pretty good about like being quick. So being explosive and whatnot. So I'm not like the most athletic person in the world, but I've always been pretty decently fast. Like I could always like run kind of fast and then be good at like jumping and stuff. So I think that's like what's helped a lot with like the deadlift is I kind of have like a natural explosiveness about myself, or I guess I don't know if that's like a douchey thing to say, but yeah, like I feel like I'm
No.
natural, like the bar speed and stuff has always come like pretty naturally to me. So I think that plus I have been eating clean almost like my whole life and stuff. So I don't have any body weight that is not being used for performance at this point, I guess. Like I don't have any body fat. Really hardly at all. I mean, I'm sure there's like, couple percent or something, but like, so if I had like 20 extra pounds of fat, that's literally just on me doing nothing, that's going to kind of just ruin my pound for pound ratio, I guess, a little bit too. So I guess being lean and being explosive, I guess, I think, uh, help a lot with, that pound for pound strength.
No. Is that why'd you use the grip and rip style of deadlift as opposed to like getting very tight beforehand? Did you just feel that the you needed that explosive power?
So that's the thing. So I do get really tight beforehand. Like so like I kind of get myself set up really tight, but it's like that whole process of like kind of going down, pulling your hips underneath you. I just do it really fast,
Okay.
you know, because I started with it slow, right? Like I start with it really slow, making sure I'm building that tension, feeling the slack like get pulled out everywhere, and then I'll pick it up off the ground. And then once that feels perfect, just speed it up from there. So I would just, I'm always trying to pull the slacks. I'm always thinking about those things still. I just try to do it a lot faster. That way, like I don't like spend as much energy on the ground, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense because that's the thing. You just don't want to spend a lot of time in that bottom position. You'll burn
And
out.
yeah, and if I did not do that little jump thing, like how I kind of like jump into the bar, if I didn't do that, my deadlift would be 100 pounds less. Absolutely. Like I generate so much power just from being able to do that little yank. Like it is because I feel like I'm not really. I mean, I'm strong, but I'm not really as strong as what I'm able to deadlift. Like I feel like my deadlift, in a way, is a bit more of a stunt than it is a lift, because I'm having to do certain things to like make that happen in a different way that's not necessarily like 100% representation of my actual strength. Like I feel like I'm doing little tricks to manipulate it, like yanking on the bar, being able to lift it a little quicker, and then it kind of makes it whip off the ground a little easier, or so I don't know if that's making any sense, but and if I
Yeah.
did not have that jump that I threw into it, like it'd be quite a bit less.
Yeah, no, that makes that I totally get it. You have to be explosive. You have to be deliberate. People take too long setting up, stuff like that. Like you're better off just, making it quick and firing. Now,
Yeah, make it an instinct, like
yeah, it just where it's second nature.
yeah.
Okay. Now, last question I'll ask you here. So, how has your training style and philosophy changed over the years? For example, are there lifts you used to do which you don't do anymore due to injury or other reasons?
Yeah, so like bench press gone, and that has been huge, because that was the first thing I cared about when I was a 12-year-old kid. Was bench press. So imagine working that hard your whole life on one thing. Like I mean, most of my life I've been benching, and for that to go away, it changed a lot about the fitness thing for me, because I always cared a lot about bench and a lot about like having like my chest look nice, or and bench helped me so much. And I didn't even notice how helpful bench was until I wasn't able to really do it anymore. Like it helped my forearms be so much bigger just because I was holding 400 pounds like this twice a week. Just from that by itself, like that stimulus is going to make your forearms grow without you isolating your forearms.
Yeah.
And just your front delts just blow up. Your shoulders get your shoulders get huge. Your triceps get huge. It was like, for me, it was like the best thing to do to get my upper body bigger. So that going away has had to. I still haven't figured it out yet. I still have not figured out what I can do to kind of get that same amount of hypertrophy back, because I don't have that being able to do bench the same way anymore. So there's like some things like that have changed a little bit, but maybe the things that change now is I try to do a little bit better about like how much I'm able to lift in the next 10 minutes, like or shorter rest periods between my sets, like only going like, okay, today I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 with like, let's say 2-minute rest breaks between each set, or 3 minutes. Let's say 3 minutes. And then next week I want to try to do close to the same amount of weight for 3 sets of 10, but with like 2.5-minute rest breaks. So just 30 seconds less. And if I can make that progression there, then I've improved my fitness somehow, I guess. At least that's kind of how I look at it. And those seem to be the only kind of PRs that I'm able to chase right now, is like endurance PR sort of. Or I've been pulling the sled a lot, because that's the thing that I'm able to do that just wears me out too, that makes me really tired. And that's like the first thing I do when I get to the gym. I pull the sled until I'm just like really tired. I'll do like a certain amount of down and backs with it, with alternating amounts of weight. It just kind of depends on like what day and whatnot. But those were things that like I never really cared about doing before. But because my back's still kind of like jacked up now, I still have to be really careful with my leg and my knee and stuff. So I still have a hard time training squat and deadlift to the point of exhaustion. So I've had to adapt to other things in like the sled to make myself really tired, to kind of get that, because otherwise mentally I think it'd be a lot harder for me.
Yeah.
Like that's going to help me sleep at night. Like the fact that I was able to make myself exhausted doing something like that's what will make me feel good.
That's exactly why I run. I'm like, I need to push myself. I don't enjoy it. I need to push myself to feel like I'm getting somewhere. So I totally get that. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. It was very insightful. I can relate to you big time. Like, it's just kind of cool. There's a lot of great stuff here. So big time appreciated.
Well, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah. Just I wanted to cover things, not the generic stuff everyone talks about. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. I appreciate it, bud.
Yes, sir.